50 bone-chilling horror stories to haunt your dreams during rainy nights. The truth will shock you. The rain fell in relentless sheets, drowning the world in a shroud of darkness. Out there, every drop carried whispers of the tortured souls who had walked the streets before. Ghostly figures danced in the corner of your eye, and the shadows seemed alive, each twist and turn hiding a secret that could burst into horror at any moment. Tonight, as the clock struck midnight, the line between the living and the dead blurred, inviting you into a night filled with spine-tingling dread. You could feel it, the very air thick with tension, like a tightrope ready to snap. Just on the edge of town, an old, decrepit house stood. Its broken windows were like dark eyes, staring hungrily into the storm. Legends swirled around it. A woman, they said, had once lived there, her laughter now lingering as an echo of madness. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones, insisting they'd glimpsed her at dusk, her white dress flowing like mist as she danced among the grave markers in the yard. They believed she was searching for something, or maybe someone. A shiver crept down your spine, the weight of her sorrow hanging in the air. Meanwhile, the street lamps flickered, casting eerie shadows on the pavement as you walked past the nearby park. The trees whispered secrets, their branches curled like gnarled fingers reaching out into the void. And then there were the strange sounds, cries in the distance, sharp gasps that made your heart race. Had you heard it? That whisper calling your name? Maybe it was just the wind, but wasn't it too deliberate? No, this was something else. This was the invitation, and a thrill of fear twisted in your gut. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As you push forward, your senses sharpened. Each creak of the pavement beneath your feet intensified the uneasy feeling curling in your gut. That house called to you, a siren song that sent chills racing down your spine. The wind picked up, shrieking through the trees, as if warning you to stay away. But the mysterious pull was irresistible. You fought against the instinct to flee, inching closer to the gate. And then you saw it, a light flickering in one of the upstairs windows, dim yet alive amid the storm. What could it mean? No one should be there, or should they? What if the stories were true, and she was waiting just for you? A camera flash lit up the window just for a moment, and you felt like you were freezing in place. Whoever was up there was aware, alert, and possibly watching. The urge to turn and run surged through you like a jolt of electricity, but the question burned in your mind. Would you have the courage to find out what lay behind the crumbling walls? Or would the shadows claim you before you could uncover the truth? The night was far from over, and the secrets felt alive, ready to consume anyone who dared to enter their dark embrace. The air grew heavier, closing in around you as if the night itself was alive and breathing. You stood before the iron gate, its rusted hinges groaning as you pushed it open. It echoed through the quiet, sending a pulse of panic racing through your veins. The gravel crunched beneath your feet, and every step felt like a descent into the depths of a nightmare. The house loomed above you, its silhouette stark against the flickering light that danced near the window. It seemed to hum with anticipation, as if hungry for your presence. But the fear gnawed at you. It clawed at your resolve, whispering reminders of what lay hidden inside. Surely no one had lived there in years, yet the feeling of being watched clung to you like a shadow. Taking a deep breath, you stepped toward the porch. The door hung slightly ajar, inviting yet foreboding, whispering promises of revelation mixed with peril. Each heartbeat echoed in your ears as you gently pushed the door wider, its creak a warning bell. Inside, the air was thick and stale, carrying the scent of dust and decay. Shadows stretched across the walls, flickering under the dim light, twisting into grotesque shapes that came alive in your imagination. A couch, tattered and draped with cobwebs, faced what remained of a faded photograph on the wall, smiling faces obscured by time, now mere specters of the past. You stepped further into the room, your pulse racing as the silence enveloped you. Suddenly, a gust of wind rattled the windows, stirring the air and stirring something much deeper within you, a forgotten memory, half-formed yet urgent. Then you heard it, a soft sob, a pained breath just beyond the hallway. It drew you forward like a moth to a flame, the sound wrapping around you, an irresistible call. You crept down the dim corridor, walls lined with tattered wallpaper, peeling like the facade of the house itself. With every step, the chilling sensation of eyes upon you intensified, a reminder that you weren't truly alone. Turning the corner, you found yourself face to face with a closed door. The sobbing had stopped, replaced by an unsettling silence. Sweat dripped down the side of your face as your hand hovered above the doorknob, hesitation warring with the desperate need to know what lay beyond. "Show yourself," you whispered, barely believing the words. It felt foolish, weak. But the rush of fear had transformed into something else, a determination to step into the unknown. Before you could grasp the knob, the door swung open with a violent creak. No one stood there, yet the air crackled with tension. A chill swept through you, as you caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow darting across the room. Your heart raced, thumping wildly against your ribcage, demanding to escape. In that moment, the flickering light from the window dimmed suddenly, casting the hallway into profound darkness. Panic surged, and you stumbled backward, barely breathing. Just outside your vision, something shifted. "Who did you come for?" a voice murmured, sorrowful yet piercing. It dripped with anguish, echoing in the hollow space of the doorway. A frigid wave washed over you as the realization sank in. You weren't just a voyeur. You were part of this story now, entangled in the tragic web woven by the woman they spoke of. She was searching, and what she saw, it might just include you. The rain drove harder against the roof, the sound mingling with the pounding of your heart. What was it that kept her bound to this forsaken place? The answer felt so close, tinged with dread and curiosity, yet mired in shadows. As you stepped back, the door slammed shut, sealing whatever secrets lay beyond. The darkness loomed like a living entity. Had she left, or was she still there, lurking just out of sight? The night deepened, whispering promises of terror and dark truths begging to be uncovered, and then you felt it, a hand on your shoulder. Your breath hitched, a cold shudder racing down your spine as the hand clenched tighter, suffocating yet strangely comforting. Every nerve in your body screamed for you to break free, to run into the night, but part of you was frozen in place, paralyzed by fear, and something else. The grip on your shoulder felt different, almost desperate. A voice whispered again, softer this time, "Help me!" In that vulnerable moment you turned. A girl stood there, her face pale, shadows dancing across her features. Her eyes, wide and searching, were dark, resembling the very depths of the house itself. "Please," she pleaded, her voice trembling, "you have to listen." You squinted into the darkness, trying to decipher the depth of emotion swimming within her gaze. Was she real? Or just another figment of your frayed nerves? You took a half-step back, deepening the space between you. "What happened here?" you asked, your words barely above a whisper. "Trapped. For too long," she breathed, like a gust of wind swirling through an open window. "I can't leave until someone knows the truth." "Truth?" you echoed, the word feeling heavy in the air. "What truth?" She darted a glance back at the closed door, her body shivering as if the mere thought of it filled her with dread. "It's locked, guarded," she said, urgency creeping into her tone. "They'll know if you try to open it." "Who? What do you mean?" confusion wrapped around you. Everything was swirling into a blur of fear and urgency. "Listen," she pressed, her voice breaking. "You've taken a step into their world. But it's not just ghosts, it's darker." Shadows danced around her, and in that moment, the house seemed to respond, creaking as if alive to the truth you didn't yet grasp. You sense it too, don't you? The need? Your heart raced faster, blood rushing in your ears. "What do you want me to do?" "Find the key," she said breathlessly, pointing back toward the hallway. "It hides in the past, where all began. If you can unlock the door, you can help me, help us." But as her words echoed through the darkness, a sudden crash jolted you both. The sound sent her pied from where the door had been. She gasped, the terror eclipsing her features, and all reason shouted at you to run. Yet, something deeper resonated, pulling you forward. You nodded, barely audible, but determination surged in your chest. "Where?" "The old nursery," she said, her eyes pleading for belief. "Follow the memories. They'll lead you, and hurry." Before you could ask, the shadows thickened, swirling around her until she dissolved into the darkness like smoke. Panic clawed at your throat, and you stood frozen. Finally, the urgency clawed its way to the surface. With every instinct screaming, you pivoted down the hallway, the darkness closing in and the house creaking ominously. Shadows danced along the walls, drawing you closer to the horror that awaited. You reached the end of the corridor. The nursery door loomed, battered and worn, an echo of the laughter that once filled its space. Hard hammering, you pushed it open, the hinges squealing in protest. Inside, it was as if time had stood still. Dust motes floated in the pale moonlight, illuminating toys scattered across the floor. But something was off. An eerie stillness wrapped around you like a blanket, pressing down with the weight of untold tales. As you stepped inside, the temperature dropped further, and a soft giggle echoed from the corner, sending chills rippling down your spine. You turned sharply, eyes wide, desperate to see, but the room was empty. Then suddenly, from behind you, the nursery door slammed shut with a finality that shook the walls. In that instant, a chill crept along the back of your neck, and you realized the house was not done with you yet. Now the question lingered, louder than the pounding in your heart. What awaited you in the dark corners of this forsaken past? And would you come out alive enough to tell the tale? A heartbeat echoed in your ears, matching the frantic rhythm of your pulse. The door swung tight behind you, trapping you in a cocoon of suffocating silence. You turned, breath hitching in your throat, eyes scanning the dim room. It felt alive with a presence, as if watching, waiting. A shadow flickered across the wall. You jumped, the air sharpening with a chill that cut deeper than the night air outside. In its wake, a faint whisper danced through the nursery, barely more than air but heavy with dread. "Help me!" It wasn't the girl's voice. No, this was different, raspy, choked. Your instincts screamed for you to run, but you stood frozen, heart clawing at your ribcage. All those toys, worn teddy bears, dolls with cracked porcelain faces, seemed to lean closer, as if urging you to delve deeper into the mystery of the room. The giggle returned, now light and taunting, skittering through the air like a breeze. It came from the corner, where moonlight struggled to penetrate the shadows. Mustering what little courage remained, you approached, the floor creaking beneath your weight. With each step, the air thickened, and a sense of wrongness hung like wet wool on your skin. "Where are you?" You croaked, your voice trembling. Playing came a sing-song reply, and as you rounded the corner, the world seemed to warp. There was a figure, a girl, but not the one you encountered moments ago. Her hair was a tangled mess, her clothes tattered like remnants of a forgotten era. Yet her eyes sparkled with an unsettling glee, as if content to be trapped in this eternal game. "Not now. I can't play with you," you shouted, instinctively backing away. Horror knifed through your stomach as realization dawned, she was just as lost as the girl you first encountered. "You'll play." She giggled again, her voice a chilling melody. Suddenly she lunged forward, a ragged breath escaping her lips as she grasped at air. "You're here now." Before you could react, the shadows grew thicker, a smoke screen swirling around you. Panic surged, and you felt the weight of despair pushing against your chest. Memories began to flicker, fragments of laughter, cries, and a jarring image of a locked door, the very one the girl had warned you about. It was like all the threads of the past were forcing their way into your mind, compelling you to remember something significant. The toys began to shift, rolling and bouncing on their own, forming a barrier. Their movement felt deliberate, a barricade creeping closer, the nursery closing in as if slicing through time. "Not yet. You don't have the key." The dark-haired girl shrieked. A realization crashed over you. The truth was locked away. This girl knew it. But what had become of the girl that needed your help? Was she another lost soul, tangled in this horror? Find the key. The echoes of many voices wrapped around you, blending into a chorus of cries. Your mind raced. Could the key be in this room? Was it hidden among the abandoned toys? You lunged toward the nearest toy chest, fumbling with the latch, desperation clawing at your throat. The unsettling laughter crescendoed, rattling your nerves. As you swung it open, light flickered within, shades of the dark past danced before your eyes. And then, through the deluge, something glinted, a small, rusted key. Heart-thrumming, you grasped it tight, feeling energy pulsate through your fingertips. But as you turned to face the door, the shadows surged, threatening to swallow you whole. "Unlock it," the chorus beckoned. But the moment of truth hung heavy. Would the past unleash a new terror, or was it the key to freedom? But the shadows swirled violently, and the girl's laughter morphed into something menacing. "You can't leave without playing." In the eye of that storm, stark reality surged. The key could set them free or leave you trapped forever. And just as you prepared to turn toward the locked door, a piercing scream erupted from within, shattering the tension and echoing through the claustrophobic space. What were you really opening? And would you find the answer, or only more nightmares? You held the key tightly. The next choice loomed, darker than the house itself. Was it courage, or sheer recklessness that drove you toward the truth? You took a breath, ready to confront the very essence of fear itself. But the question echoed in your mind: what horrors resided behind the door? The key felt icy in your palm, a magnetic weight pulling you toward the locked door. As wisps of shadow twirled and twisted, the atmosphere thickened, saturating the air with something foul and ancient. This was a moment for answers, or perhaps a stillness punctuated by screams, those trapped souls pleading for liberation or revenge. You stepped towards the door, every step heavier than the last. The giggling continued, a mocking dirge that echoed against the walls, stinging your skin like an electric current. "Play with us," the voice cried, harmony underlying the chaos. It was so wrong, a ballet of insanity hiding in the nursery's embrace. The door loomed before you, its wood dark and weathered. Whoever had sealed it had done so with intent, a barrier carved from the agony that permeated this room. "Unlock it," echoed through your mind, a relentless chant that clawed at your sanity. Heart racing, you positioned the key into the old lock. It was stubborn, refusing to yield initially, resisting the intruding light of hope. You coaxed it slowly, sweat beading on your brow, until the lock clicked, sending a cold shiver through you. With a quick twist, you felt the air shift, the shadows recoiling in terror as the door creaked open with a reluctant groan. It revealed a vast and darkness beyond, deeper than the night itself. A tightness gripped your chest, and you hesitated, swallowed by the maw of uncertainty. "Do it," the shivering voices urged, a chorus of despair and laughter mingling into a spine-chilling symphony. You took a step inside, driven by something primal, something mourning the need to understand. The darkness enveloped you like a wave, showering you with unease. Part of you screamed to retreat, but you pressed on, curiosity mingling with dread. What secrets lay within? The chamber was stiff, chaotic echoes reverberating within. It held photographs, grimy with age, flickering images of the past. Faces peered at you from yellowed frames, some smiling, others horrified. They looked familiar. Were they the souls you had heard crying for help? Then it hit you, a child's laugh echoed again, bright and cruel, sparking recognition. It's a game. We want to play. The atmosphere thickened, as if the house itself were alive with glee. Suddenly, the images on the walls curled and morphed, a nightmarish slideshow unraveling before you. Families trapped in eternal joy, memories twisted into something grotesque. The very essence of happiness turned to a sinister reminder of what could never be returned. Find the end. A distant voice whispered, mixing childlike glee with horror. Then we could all play together. Fear gripped your heart tighter, squeezing the breath from your lungs. What end? Was there a way to escape this madness? As your gaze scanned the room, you noticed something flickering in the corner, a small box, intricately carved with symbols you didn't recognize. The sheen of the polished wood caught the low light, drawing you closer like a moth to flame. What secrets did it hold? Could it hold the answer to breaking this curse, all these lost souls, their laughter merging with your own heartbeats? But as you neared the box, the temperature dropped, and whispers rose alarmingly, shattering the atmosphere around you. Open it! Open it! Yet a sliver of doubt sliced through. The key had unlocked the door, but what if this box held only more chaos? Would opening it mean inviting a greater horror, or would it guide you safely towards clarity? Your hands trembled as you reached for the lid, the invitation inviting you deeper into a world where the boundary between joy and terror blurred into insignificance. In that moment, as darkness beckoned, the door behind you slammed shut, casting you into complete shadow. The laughter faded into a dissonant hum, and uncertainty clung to you like shadows at dusk. What lay inside awaited, and the box seemed to pulse like a heartbeat matching your own, an invitation into further madness, or perhaps a key to true freedom. All you knew was, whatever awaited, you were drawn into the mystery as if bound by destiny. What was unleashed in that dark box would forever alter the fabric of your reality. You hesitated one last moment, just before pushing the lid open. Would you find salvation or unspeakable horror? The moment your fingers brushed against the box's lid, a jolt of electric fear shot up your arm, paralyzing you. The whisper surged, rising to a frantic pitch, beckoning you closer. Open it! Open it! They wailed, a cacophony of desperation wrapping around you like a shroud. You swallowed hard, feeling the lump in your throat grow as the shadows pulsed with life, suffocating in their urgency. The lid was ornately carved, each twisting line seeming to taunt you. You hesitated, wrestling with the dark tide pulling at your gut, but the urge to reveal whatever lay inside was intoxicating. Were you truly ready for this? With a sharp inhale, you forced yourself to lift the lid. It creaked open, protesting your invasion. To your horror, a cloudy mist unfurled from the box, swirling and creeping into the room like a living thing. It billowed around you, cold and thick, clawing at your skin with icy fingers. You tried to back away, but the shadows seemed to tighten their grip, trapping you in place. Within the depths of the box, a glow emerged, a ghostly light radiating with an ethereal beauty that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. Shapes began to take form, shifting within the mist. Were they faces? You squinted, dread pooling in your stomach as the realization dawned. They were the very souls from the photographs, trapped in that twisted state of happiness, their mouths opening and closing like fish gasping for air, but no sound came forth. Help us! They whispered in unison, and just as quickly, their laughter erupted again, sharp and maddening. It echoed around the room, steadfastly mocking your torment. A wave of nausea rolled over you. It was a trick, a cruel game they played? Or was it, you reached out, drawn toward the light like a moth to the flame, your hand trembling? The room spun around you, every heartbeat echoing like a war drum, urging you onwards. What were you willing to sacrifice for the truth? The question resounded in your mind, as if the darkness itself demanded an answer. Before you could respond, the mist coalesced into a single, hideous form, a contorted specter that slipped from the box, reaching towards you with gnarled fingers. The pull was irresistible, the promise of truth an intoxicating lure. "Play with us," it hissed, a voice soaked in both joy and malice, all at once. Your heart pounded violently. The fabric of reality was unraveling. With every breath, the shadows continued to thrum, the air crackled like a storm about to break. A flicker of defiance surged through you. "If you want me to play, then let us see what this is all about." With a resolve that felt both empowering and foolish, you squared your shoulders and shouted, "Tell me the truth, then." The specter shrieked, a twisted wail that rooted you to the spot. "The truth is a gift, but it comes with a cost." Suddenly, the world lurched as the walls around you trembled, the light drawing back, retreating to the box like a frightened animal. The laughter drew closer, blending into something horrific, a symphony of anguish vibrating in your bones. You felt the air thicken, becoming almost suffocating. With a shocking realization, you understood. The box didn't hold salvation. It was a vessel meant to ensnare the very essence of your being. As the shadows intensified, clawing at your sanity, you caught a final glimpse of the box, its interior glowing brighter, promising both intrigue and peril. You had to escape, but how? With nowhere left to run, your eyes darted around, searching for a glimmer of hope amid the mounting chaos. But the shadows closed in, hungry and relentless, drawing closer with every beat of your heart. What price would you pay to unshackle the truths buried here? Would the laughter ever stop? As the darkness wrapped around you, a new voice, clear and trembling, cut through the fog. To find the end, first you must face your fear. And then, in that harrowing moment, the choice was yours alone. Would you risk everything to find out? Your heart raced as you stared into the swirling mist, your pulse hammering in your ears like a war drum. The shadows loomed closer, eager and hungry, but that voice, sudden and sharp, had struck a chord within you. What fear lurked in the corners of your mind? What truths were buried beneath the layers of your past? A gust of cold air swept through the room, pushing the fog back, but leaving you breathless. In that shivering moment, clarity seemed to shine through. You were already lost, entwined in the grips of this mystical dread. The gentle waver of light pulsed, beckoning, daring you to step forward. There was no escaping now. It was time to face what haunted you. "Face my fear. What does that even mean?" you murmured to yourself. The specter floated closer, its grotesque features twisting with a sinister joy. Its eyes glinted like dark glass, reflecting your own terror. "Seek the memories," it urged, its voice dripping with malice and glee. "Find the truth that you hide, that you shelter from yourself." Your body felt foreign, heavy with dread, yet an odd determination sparked to life in your chest. You focused on the ghostly faces trapped in the mist. Were they victims? Were they parts of you long buried? "What do you want from me?" you shouted, shaking off a thread of despair. "Only the truth that you fear to remember." The specter grinned wider, revealing sharp, exaggerated teeth. A cold laugh bubbled from its throat, resonating through the air like breaking glass. The mist began to sink back into the box, revealing a tarnished mirror tucked within it glinted with an insidious sheen. You approached the mirror, each step like wading through molasses. The room crackled with energy. This was the moment promised by the whispers, the moment of reckoning. You reached out, trembling fingers inching closer. As your fingers grazed the surface, scenes flashed before your eyes. A childhood memory bubbled to the surface, running through a sun-drenched field, laughter intertwined with the growing shadows of the looming forest at its edge. But the brightness dulled as another memory crashed forth, voices raised in anger, lightning flashing during a stormy night. "Look deeper," the specter demanded. "The truth lies within." With a gaping maw of anticipation, you gazed into the mirror again. The initially cheerful scenes twisted into something darker. A friend you hadn't spoken to in years, tears raining down their face as they stood beside a grave. A fragile hand reaching out, begging for help that you failed to give. Your heart clenched painfully. "You choose darkness," the specter hissed, its voice a wet caress against your ear. You let it consume you. A wave of nausea rolled over you, yet the mirror flashed again, forcing your gaze. A vision of yourself desperate, frantic pounded against your mind's eye. The roots of your own decisions tangled like weeds, choking joy and hope. Your breath hitched as bile burned the back of your throat. "No, I didn't know," you gasped, a desperate plea against the swell of realization. "Fear the truth, or learn from it," the specter said. "What will you choose?" In that pivotal moment, a rush of defiance surged within you like a wildfire. The shadows whispered, tugging temptingly at your heart. But the light, faint yet persistent, made you ache to embrace it. You thought of the faces, desperate yet hopeful, urging you on. "Enough," you cried, ready to reclaim your narrative. "I won't let my past define me." The specter recoiled, its laughter turning to a furious wail that rippled through the air. The mist began to whirl violently, swirling tighter and tighter. The box appeared to tremble, alive with an energy that sparked your skin. The room shook, splintering your equilibrium. You were no longer the person who stood there just moments ago, vulnerable and scared. No, a flame ignited in your core, one driven by the need to confront your truths. But before you could unravel the threads of oblivion that wrapped around you, a shattering sound struck like thunder. The mirror cracked, shattering the silence of despair, revealing a darker abyss within, and then it all faded to black. What would you discover when the darkness finally released its hold? What were you truly capable of facing? You found yourself suspended in a void, your heart thumping like a war drum. The shadows that once danced around you faded into a deep, consuming black. No more mist. No more specter. Just an oppressive silence that pressed down, suffocating in its weight. Panic clawed at your throat, but then something flickered, an ember of memory, a fragile light beckoning you back. Gradually, the darkness began to hum, and with it, images swirled back into view. Flickering like old film reels, fragmented visions assaulted you. A face you loved, a face twisted with rage, a haunting echo of screams in the distance, a shattered promise spilling out like shards of glass. The mirror was gone, but the truth was still tethered to you, dragging you under. As flashes hit your consciousness, details sharpened. A voice called out, a familiar voice tinged with sorrow. "Why didn't you save me?" You turned, trying to trace it, but the intensity clouded your view. It swirled like a vortex, each spin unraveling more of your past. "Stop!" you yelled, grasping at the tendrils of your memories. "I'm not afraid." But the darkness only roared back, overwhelming your resolve. Then, out of the turmoil, a light burst forth. Not the comforting glow you anticipated, but blinding, harsh, and revealing. You stumbled toward it, squinting against the brightness. When your vision finally adjusted, you found yourself back in the room. The box lay before you, the crack now wide open, revealing the truth inside. You stepped closer, heart racing. Inside, a single wooden chair sat under a spotlight, casting long shadows on the floor. Composure was a distant memory now. You knew deep down you had to sit, to confront whatever emerged from it. Hesitation gripped your limbs, but you pushed through, forcing yourself to lower into the chair. The chair creaked, the sound reverberating like an ominous bell. Suddenly, the shadows began to coil around your legs, creeping up your body, wrapping tighter. A cacophony of whispers filled the air, familiar yet distorted. The room shifted, warping like a funhouse mirror, and before you knew it, the figure materialized from the shadows, eyes blacker than midnight, a familiar face twisted in agony. Why were you too late? It spoke your name, a haunting echo. You knew this face. It was her, the friend whose hand you never reached for. Memories flooded back, all the moments you avoided, the calls not returned, the message left unread. "I'm sorry, I didn't know," you stammered, tears welling up. "You knew," the apparition replied, each word like a dagger to your heart. You chose to ignore. To forget. You shook your head violently. "I thought I could move on. I tried." The specters of your past encircled you, each one whispering furiously about your failures, your cowardice. Your heart ached with guilt, each corner of your mind flooding with remorse. The weight was unbearable. Despair threatened to pull you under once more. But then you recalled the ember that flickered, your longing for light, for a way out of this nightmare. "No! I won't let you keep me like this," you shouted, voice cracking but resolute. "I will fight. I won't let my fears chain me anymore." Your declaration rippled through the room, causing the shadows to shudder. The spectre-esque expression twisted, no longer a haunting visage but rather a mask of fury. "You think you can change fate? Watch me!" You screamed, your voice echoing like thunder. The shadows flared, and in an instant, the spectral figure lunged. You braced for impact, heart racing, ready to confront what it all meant, ready to discover your truth. Just as the darkness descended, everything shifted violently again, and you felt yourself being pulled apart, every atom trembling, a scream bursting forth. Then, nothing. What lay on the other side of that darkness? Would you emerge whole, or would the abyss claim you forever? A weight pressed against you, a darkness swallowing every thought, every emotion. You gasped, feeling the cold grip of nothingness releasing you as you tumbled forward into a new reality. The air was thick, heavy with moisture, tinged with a metallic scent. Dread wrapped around your heart, squeezing tighter each second. With a jolt, you landed on hard ground. Staggering to your feet, you looked around. Time stagnated. You were no longer in the room with the chair. No longer in the grip of that wailing darkness. Instead, you found yourself in a dimly lit corridor lined with peeling wallpaper. The sound of dripping water echoed from somewhere deeper inside this labyrinth. A slow shiver crept up your spine, setting your nerves on edge. Each step felt weighted, as if the floor itself conspired to pull you back into despair. Shadows twisted from the corners of your vision, and the memories of the spectre still clung to you, her pain, her anger, those words that cut like glass. But there, a flicker up ahead. A soft, inviting glow beckoned. With each step, the silhouettes of faces familiar yet distorted flashed in your mind. Whispers intertwined, blending seasoned regrets with currents of fear. In that moment, you struck a deal with yourself. You wouldn't let the past claim you again. You approached the light, quickening your pace, desperate for clarity. As you turned the corner, the corridor opened up into a massive room, the walls adorned with portraits of strangers. Their eyes seemed alive, following you as you stepped into their space. The air felt charged, prickling at your skin as you inhaled deeply, searching for courage. In the center of the room stood an old wooden table, elegantly carved but tainted with splashes of red. Was it merely paint or something much more sinister? Trembling, you pulled closer. Looming shadows slithered around the edges of your vision. You glanced toward the portraits. They were not strangers. They were the faces of the people you had lost, faded memories now resurrected in grim animation. They judged you silently, accusingly. "Why do you hide?" A voice broke through your thoughts, melodic yet chilling. You blinked, recoiling. The air shifted, and from the shadows emerged a wraith-like figure, a silhouette that felt both threatening and familiar. The sorrow of every lost chance radiated off of him. "Do you think you can run from your mistakes?" His voice, smooth like silk but sharp as sharpened steel, sent a quiver of dread through your core. I am trying to confront them, you stammered, unsure what to believe now, unsure of anything in this space twisted by grief and guilt. Confront? He laughed darkly, a sound that was both terrible and bittersweet. You have only scratched the surface of this darkness. Look closer, child. You turned back to the table. Scratches marred the surface, names etched into the wood, names you recognized all too well. Your friend S, your family S. You felt bile rise in your throat. This isn't a moment of clarity, you gasped, horror dawning. It's a trap. The shadows gathered, the faces in the portraits twisted in anguish. Your heart raced as realization washed over you like a tidal wave. The grip of your past was clawing back, ready to drag you deeper into despair. You fought against it, determination surging within. I refuse to let you bind me, you shouted, voice echoing off the walls. Laughter erupted around you, a chorus of mockery from fading shadows, a stark contrast to the love woven in your memories. You clenched your fists, eyes boiling with tears. It was no longer just about sorrow. This was a battle for your soul. As the spectral figure lunged toward you, the portraits began to shift, the eyes of the lost glinting with a haunting recognition. Could they help you? Or were they the ones dragging you back into the darkness? Suddenly, the floor trembled beneath your feet as the walls began to close in. You took a deep breath, ready to fight against the web of pain once more, but the glimmer of hope flickered faintly within you. Would this battle be your salvation, or simply another step deeper into the void? The corridor settled into stillness, leaving you trapped between light and darkness, haunted by the question, was breaking free truly within your grasp? The sensation of cold steel pressed against your palm, a reminder of the truth you fought so hard to hold on to. With renewed resolve, you looked at the table before you, its terrible weight bearing down. Names etched into its surface screamed out, stories left untold clawing at your mind. You could feel the echoes of laughter mingling with cries of despair. Enough! You cried out, your voice cutting through the thick air like a blade. You will not claim me! As though reacting to your defiance, the shadows surged forward, twisting and screeching in fury. Their anger enveloped you, a storm brewing that threatened to engulf everything. But deep within, you felt a flicker, a quiet surge of warmth, the laughter of those you lost, dancing in memory, infusing strength into your very soul. Fight it! A voice cried out, indistinct yet powerful. You could almost see the faces of your loved ones urging you on, urging you to remember who you were. With a fierce urgency, you tore your gaze from the etched names and focused ahead, heart racing. I know who I am, you declared, voice steady. I am not defined by my past or my failures. I will live for them. The room shook as your resolve erupted like a wildfire, illuminating the darkness. The spectral figure before you recoiled, shadowy hands clawing at its own face, confused by your defiance. The portraits shifted, whispers rising, a cacophony of volume and intensity. Join us! They cried in harmony, but your spirit surged, bolstered by the love that had been lost yet still remained a part of you. No! You bellowed, thrusting your hands outward as if to push back the shadows. You do not own my heart. In an instant, light exploded from your hands, a radiant energy stretching through the room, chasing back the creeping darkness. The portraits of the lost flickered, their expressions shifting from despair to powerful, newfound hope. The shadows writhed and began to unravel, disintegrating into nothingness before you. Look deeper. The chorus of voices came back, but twisted now, not in pain, but in flight. Guided by something deep inside, you turned back to the table, focusing entirely on the names there. I remember, you whispered, tears stinging your eyes, and I promise to honor you. I will strive to make the choices that matter. I will not hide. With those words, the light flared brighter, and the room erupted into brilliance. You felt the grip of despair dissolve, the chains binding you breaking away like fragile threads. And then, clarity seeped in. Just beyond the light, the doorway stood ajar, beckoning with the promise of freedom. With every step forward, the room around you seemed to melt. The spectral figure faded into nothingness, shadows losing their power as you moved closer. You pushed through the threshold into a new reality, the welcoming embrace of warm sunlight filling every crevice. All at once, the weight lifted. Suddenly, you were standing in the park where memory intertwined with light and laughter. The familiar faces of your loved ones surrounded you, shining with warmth and joy. "Welcome back," they murmured, embracing you with open arms. Each one glowed, reminding you that their influence does not fade but endures within. "I'm sorry," you breathed, feeling their spirit around you. "I'll never forget." "You're free now," replied the voice of your friend, her eyes shimmering with understanding. "Live boldly, and allow love to guide you." You nodded, tears flowing freely, not of sorrow, but gratitude, a promise emerging from within. As you stood in the warmth of the sun, a new understanding blossomed. Life was indeed a game to be played, cherished, and honored. And as the laughter echoed through the park, you took it every moment, every breath, knowing you were finally unshackled. The dark bond with that forsaken house had been broken. This time, as you walked forward, you carried the stories and laughter of those you adored. With every step, you forged a path into the future, one filled with light and warmth, and a heart prepared to embrace every truth, whether joyous or sorrowful. Leaving the shadows and whispers behind, grateful for the lessons learned, you turned back once more, aware that the past would always be part of you, yet it would no longer drive you. You were free. You felt the echoes of joy rise, transforming into an anthem of hope. As you stepped into the light, a smile reached your lips, and you whispered, "Thank you." And somewhere deep within the shadows of that empty house, the whispers finally settled into peace. Now, it's your turn to carry the flame, to cherish the miles traveled and share your own light with the world. Don't wait another second. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss any exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and keep generating these epic tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic finale. It's time to spread the word.